So we're all here to share our experiences. That's why I said we're all here in it together. And this is the first pandemic since I've been around. We've had one a while back. So I think it's important for us to just learn from each other because it's changing, as we all know. Every day something seems to be different. But the definition of parenting remains the same. So it's supposed to be, right? Supposed to be the process of promoting and supporting the physical, social, and intellectual development of a child from infancy to adulthood. How many is already overwhelmed just by that definition? So then how about we add at home? While working, homeschooling, trying to support your partner in crime, right? And doing all of this. Anybody kind of resonate with any of these slides here?
Absolutely, that's my life right now.
So, what are some of the things that that you guys have come up with that you could share or are willing to share about how you've been dealing with the new normal?
Hi, can I share?
Please.
Thanks. I just got in it when it let me in, and now I'm in. Anyhow, my daughter's in not homeschool, although you should call it homeschool, right? Because the virtual, and it's crazy. It's just like I'm in 5th grade all over again because I feel like I have to be there. It's just too many kids at one time. They're trying to keep everybody together and focused, but they're combining 2 classes, so they've got 60 kids on at one time, and there's no personal attention, and you have to fight for your chance to speak. But yeah, I like your little thing about house rule 2. Do you go to the refrigerator at school? Every time there's a break for 5 minutes, runs down and says, I need a snack. So it's a little crazy, but I'm trying to play catch up. I missed a little bit of your beginning, but thank you so much. I'm glad to be here for this.
I'm glad you're here. Anybody else?
I think right now for me, it's just been tough. In July, my boyfriend had a stroke. And so not only am I I'm a teacher, so I actually teach online. My children are going to school online. I have him home right now, and I'm doing doctor's appointments on top of everything else. And just having to go to the doctor or the hospital in this COVID world is crazy enough, and so I think that I definitely can relate to all that because I'm living it.
Right.
I guess I can say the trouble I'm having right now is we live in a small town, so our Boys and Girls Club program, only one for our kids. They're only taking 20 kids, so I don't have help with daycare, and I'm homeschooling and I'm back at work part-time, but it's just a struggle to work a full day when I have to homeschool the boys and not really have any help with them if I have to go back full time.
Right. So that's a whole nother struggle, right?
Yes, it's been very hard, but I'm managing.
Right. Cool. So how do you do like recess if you're homeschooling? How do you guys manage that? I'm sure, and some physical activity.
Hi, this is Tiffany. We actually do a lot of yoga.
Nice.
And with my son, he is currently in 7th grade. He has a health class right now, and she has certain to start off class with. They have certain activities that they need to do, and because they are on it's Microsoft Meetings. She can actually see them doing those activities. So it's very small activities, and it is right as class starts. They do those small activities, but Peyton and I have been doing a lot of yoga together, just to kind of stay active and to do something together. But my husband, I know it's very silly, they actually like to play tag.
Mhm.
Oh, that's that sounds like fun, actually.
Did I chime in again?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to overstep anyone. I like what you just said, whoever just spoke. I'm sorry, I'm looking at a lot of screens. Tiffany, right? I think. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, my daughter, thank you, Tiffany. I'm trying to have my picture on here, but sorry, I actually slept in for the first time. I'm on Pacific time, so.
No, I'm shoving myself, like my face with a salad right now, which is why my picture is not up.
Oh, I'm still in pajamas, but you can't. Anyhow, yeah, for my daughters, they do it's virtual, but it's really hard because they combine, like I said, two classes, so they have 60 kids on at once. But I try to monitor it between meetings and between other things and doing work and running up and down the stairs. I think my exercise is going up the 15 stairs 25 times a day. So I think that that's a good step in my direction. But when they do a PE class, the kids do a thing on the screen and they kind of do exercise. But when they're doing something on the floor, the camera only sees you to like right here. So some kids put the camera on the floor, some kids this. So they just try to make sure they're moving and they want to see them on screen. But aside from that, we try to do things at home too and get outside and actually see daylight and get out there and try to do things because you're stuck in if you're doing that virtual and trying to be on there on their schedule and be on there from like 9 to 3:30, now that the time has changed, the daylight, it's dark at 5, and so there isn't a lot of time later in the day to get out. So we try to make sure to try to do something, even if it's just a walk around the block or something in the community, to be able to just get around and get out. And now it's harder because the darkness earlier, but yeah, now cooler weather's coming. So I'm on Pacific time, so it's Vegas. So we were hot, and now we're just about to start cooling down. So I know that everyone else, like on the east and stuff, other things, and in the south you're dealing with the storms, and it's crazy everywhere. But just being physical, it's really hard with everything being on the computer. It's affecting our vision, it's affecting everything. So just try our best to just get around. But it's so great to hear everybody's experience of what's going on. Thank you.
So it sounds like there's just a lot of flexibility that people are just learning to live with. And school usually is pretty rigid, right? I mean, that's how they teach kids how to, stay in line, time. So the whole thing about the house rules, do you go to the refrigerator to school? It really does make sense that you're going to have to try to change things around to still give them that structure, but also be able to roll with it, so to speak, with the time change, with attention spans, because you have different age groups. So it sounds like you guys are being very attentive and working this thing out.
It's funny how they bring back, I've seen a lot of old school, excuse me, activities being brought back, tag, Foursquare, hopscotch, things like that. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah. I know the kids always ask, I say, what did you do back in the old days?
Back in the old days, yeah, Jack.
Oh gosh. So what about taking care of yourselves? You know what I mean? I mean, that's a big deal, especially now because everything is just so stressed out. I want to share something with you guys and tell me if you ever feel like this. Can you guys see that? Can y'all see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you put yourself kind of on mute so you can hear it. And here we go. I hope I didn't mess it up. There we go.
Oh, not yet.
So me time is really important, right?
Very.
What do y'all think? Ever feel like just breaking away and say, hey, I want to hide?
I've seen that one before, but it's funny no matter how many times you watch it. Amazing how he made himself look like the wall.
I know.
I want to start doing that, but I don't have any color to blend in, but that's awesome.
So having said that, what do you guys do to try to incorporate some me time during all of
I
this?
just recently started doing some crafts. I found a place near our house that does like craft workshops for $25 every 2 weeks. And that hour and a half is like a much needed get out the house, get away from everything that's going on, and just breathe. I don't bring anybody with me. I go by myself, and I'm fully charged when I get back. And I think that that hour and a half is so important.
What I was doing was I have two grandsons, and Paulie's the one that has hemophilia. So with the schedule, the hybrid schedule because of COVID, I was keeping Paulie at my house like 3 days a week because he only went to school 2 days a week. So I would keep him here so I could keep an eye on him because he would, fall, different things with him being at home with his stepmother and everything. And my son-in-law would be at work. And finally, I just had to let him go home because my other grandson is there at home because someone tested positive for COVID. Because between him, he'd be here playing around and bumping into stuff. And then with the new math and all the stuff that the kids are learning now, and I'm in my mid-50s, so I have no clue what some of that stuff is. It was just a lot. And I work from home. I've been working from home since March. And I'm like, I can't, I kept trying. And just to let you guys know, my daughter passed away when Paulie was 2 years old. So I took on, the responsibilities of everything with him and hemophilia because my son-in-law, I love him, but he's clueless. So it's just like, I finally had to say, Paulie, you got to go home. They go back to school November 16th. So then I'll start having them come back over then. But I'm like, this is too much. Like I give teachers a lot of credit because I can't. With 20 kids or more in a classroom, there's no way. And there's women in their 60s still teaching. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't. No patience at all. Yeah. And even, having to go through with him and he has had a port for 5 years. And he still complains like when I would have to infuse him and everything. Luckily, we don't have to have Amicar anymore because he tries not to, get bumps and all that stuff. But it's rough. It's rough. I thought it was going to be easier as he got older. And then he says to me, I want to learn how to infuse myself. I'm like, when? In a few years? No, now. I'm like, I don't think so, Paulie.
How old is he, Angela?
He's 7. He'll be 8
Okay.
in February. And it's just, I'm like, I give everybody a lot of credit. I have no patience. But that's my baby and I love him, so what can you do?
Well, the sooner you take it from a hemophiliac, the sooner you teach him, the less stress it'll be on you. And then he'll feel more empowered by doing it himself.
Are they able to can they infuse themselves through their port? Can they use their, you know what I mean?
I've seen it done before. I mean, I know some of the older guys, I think, would have a problem because of the restrictions in their on their joints. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people infuse themselves before in a port.
He really wants to learn how to do it. Because he's always telling me, like when I go and access the port, he tells me I'm doing it wrong. I'm like, excuse me, I know what I'm doing.
Chad, is that something you've seen them infuse themselves through their own port?
I really haven't seen that. No, like the camp that I went to for the little guys, a lot of them, the ones with, there wasn't really young guys with ports. Young, I would say like kids around 9, 10, they were learning to infuse themselves there. It was pretty good. It was pretty awesome to see. They had all these fancy little find your vein thingies and stuff.
They didn't have those back in the old days, Chad?
No. Well, when I was younger, they took about 6 nurses to hold me down. So that
oh my goodness, I have been there.
Yeah.
They have a thing now where you could, sorry, Chad.
No, go ahead.
They have a thing now, when my daughter was in the hospital last, they have a thing where they scan over your hand and they can find the vein. It was freaky. And my daughter was in the hospital for 4 days and they were having really hard time finding her veins because, you know, collapsing and everything. And they used this, just looked like a mouse, you know, it looked like your mouse. And they, you know, wireless, of course, and they just stuck it there, and then they were able to roll over and find it, and it was just amazing. And I was like, I need one of those at home.
Yeah, some of them are pretty neat.
Well, it sounds like something.
Hey, Lisa, they have, I know it's not exactly the same, but what you're talking about is a vein finder. And if you look that up on Amazon, they're not as nice, but they're kind of like flashlight looking like. But just type in vein finder and you can find them on Amazon actually.
Terrific, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh God, it's hard to be able to talk on it. One more thing, the only difference now also is like when my daughter was at school, it's all virtual here. They're not allowing them to go in, and our school district is really big. And I'm sure they're voting on the 12th about coming back for hybrid or something, but ours has been virtual from the beginning. And I'm sure with the colder weather coming, it won't be going back, but they're talking about it. But anyway, the one thing is when she was at school, I was always worried, you know, getting hurt, getting injured. Not a lot of kids have bleeding disorders at her school. I think she's in elementary. Of the 850, I think she and one other in the whole school. So we had to teach the teachers all about bleeding disorders and knowing what to do and all the things and forms and medication. And my daughter used to take Amicar, but she had to stop because she had stents placed. She's also a heart kiddo, so she's had 5 heart surgeries. She has a congenital heart defect as well as the bleeding disorder. So she always gets Wilate when she has her heart surgeries now. So that keeps her from having a bleeding issue. And the hardest thing was trying to teach them to understand because they never knew anything of it. So like we say, when we talk about bleeding disorders, our community is wonderful because we all can make that connection. But with them, it was like it's a whole new world. So being at home, you have a little more control, but when you're in meetings and everything, like we were talking before, it's really hard to manage and make sure your child doesn't just trip or fall or anything or hurt themselves by bumping into the chair they're using for their virtual schooling. And she fell off the chair and I'm like, how did you fall off a chair? But I mean, you know, the rolling chairs we're using, you try to use that for your virtual class to have them be able to get to the computer. And it's just amazing new issues that we're dealing with. But overall, it's great that our community connects on this because dealing even with virtual, the teachers may know a little bit about their bleeding condition now because she has a 504, like I'm sure a lot of parents' kids have that for their school. It's different than the IEP because it's physical, not learning disability. Anyhow, and they say that they still say, okay, it's okay, you can miss, but they also still give them a hard time because they're trying to connect with like these 60 kids online. And I think when Tiffany was speaking earlier, even 20 or Angela, I think, right? And they were saying about how they had the kids, tried, how do you have 20 online at once? Imagine 60. It's too much to make any personal connection. I can't even, you look like a little dot, on the screen with all those kids at once. And it's hard. And I'm just appreciative of the teachers for all they're trying to do, but you don't speak up quick enough, you don't get a chance to get a turn, and it's really hard. So monitoring it this way from home, at least I'm here and I can pop between my meetings and work and being on phone calls and everything to try to help. But it's hard. I don't know how people are managing. It almost makes us a little crazy. So it's great that we can talk about this here, because when I saw this one coming up, I'm like, I've got to get up for this one. It's the only day I can sleep in. And I'm like, nope, got to get on this session. So thank you for all your words, everybody. It's really, really appreciated.
Hi, this is Tammy, and I'm from Arkansas. We actually are in school, but there are some students that cannot go, so they're doing virtual. What our teachers have done for us, which has been pretty amazing, we have several of my granddaughter's teachers that actually put everything online, but they also are communicating more with us this year. They'll send you either a FaceTime, do a FaceTime, or they'll do a Zoom call with just your student if they're having problems. So what they're doing is they're kind of breaking it down so that they do, even though they have a lot of students, they're breaking it down so that parents or grandparents, whoever is helping the student, can actually log on to a Zoom, and they are recording that in the classrooms. So not all the teachers are doing that, but a lot of the math and science teachers are, because I think math is probably the most challenging subject for a lot of students, and especially for us as adults, because they do it so different. So that has helped a lot with not having such a huge group and actually being heard. And then she said, you can go on and watch at any point. You can go on and send your personal, questions, and they respond back. And they have been doing very well with that. And of course, these are teachers that are doing online as well as having students in the classroom. So, I think that maybe that's a suggestion. I don't know, if other schools are going to be open to that, but it has definitely worked really well for us, even though our kiddos are in school. She's a type 1 diabetic, and my grandson's a bleeding disorder patient. So that being said, we've had some issues and had to stay at home. So that's how they're doing it, and it has worked very well. Even for our parent-teacher conferences, you sent in a request, and each teacher did a Zoom call with the parents or the grandparents and the students, and it was pretty amazing. I was like, wow, this is pretty neat that we actually can do that. So I think that there are ways to get around that challenge that you're talking about, if the teachers are willing to do that. So that's just what they're doing in our school. The other thing that they started doing is they're having an advisory. They moved their advisory period up to the first period of the day. So it's the first hour. And so if you have a student that's riding the bus, or their parents have to be at work, then they go to school for advisory period. If you have students that you can drive to school, which we are some of those parents, then they don't have to go to advisory hour unless they're having problems in some of their classes. So that has also made a huge difference for our students. So those are just some things that they're doing in Arkansas.
I think it's pretty neat that they have so many different responses to how they're doing homeschooling. And just like you would do for your child with a bleeding disorder, the advocacy, it's kind of the same thing, it sounds like. I mean, if you have some concerns about it, I would imagine that, you know, contacting the school and maybe even getting some individual attention. And maybe that's something we can think about the 504 program and how to maybe rethink that and see if there's some other things that we might be able to advocate for on this side. You guys have any thoughts?
It's really good to have the 504 available all over the country. Like I said, here in Nevada, in Vegas, it was really hard to get the school to understand it. But of course, in the real world before the pandemic, when my daughter was we first learned right at the end of kindergarten, because she had been punched by a boy the last day of school, and we went to her pediatrician and found out. And at first they suspected cancer, and then we learned, no, it's not cancer, it's bleeding disorder. And we learned all about it, and then we taught the school, and then we brought in the nurses, and we brought in the hematology team, and everybody came in and they spoke to them and they taught them, and then they worked on the 504 with the counselor, and then she went to first and second and third and fourth, and now the final year of elementary, we're home. So, you know, but the thing is that the 504 is really important. There's a lot of verbiage in it, but it's a really good thing. And it's great to learn about that. I think maybe for future conferences, maybe in sorry. I can't think, I'm sorry. It's tie it in with, it's early still here. Tie it in with that and make it where you can talk about that and how it affects those in the bleeding disorder community and how they can actually make that happen at their school. Because you always think, how can I do that? Everybody hears IEP for learning, but they don't think physically. Well, it affects them with PE class, it affects them tremendously and getting hurt and everything. So always hear what would happen was for my daughter, we started it back, now it's 2 years ago, and they said that she would not be outside exercising when it was above 90. Well, in Vegas, you know, it's above 90, 100, 110 a lot of time of the year. And so the first semester wouldn't be outside, but she would be doing exercises alternatively inside. So there's a lot of options for people, and even people who live in cold areas where you have the storms and you can't be outside, you know, running where it's cold, because that'll affect you as well. So basically just being able to have the 504, it's a really good thing for learning how the school can work with you together to make it function properly.
And the 504, they can be adjusted. In Tanner, our son has a 504 and an IEP. And because we do like treatment days or, you know, even comprehensive visits, that's a 2-hour drive for us to go to a comprehensive visit. And it's an all-day visit and then a 2-hour drive home. Well, there's not a lot of sleep involved in those days. It's very lethargic. At our conference this year, our son is in school. We're full-time school now. So we just amended his IEP, and so the days, you know, we do IVIG. At the conference, the teacher noticed like the day after his IVIG, he's very lethargic. He doesn't want to participate in class. He's, you know, he doesn't really want anything to do. He's trying to play catch up. So we amended our IEP this year for days that we're out of school due to infusions. You know, we can do virtual school while we're at the hospital. And then the next day, while we're recovering, we do virtual school from home that day. It's made a difference. You know, he can sleep late that morning. He can, you know, wake up and take his time and then get online and do all his classes. And, you know, you have to work with your school and your teachers, your guidance counselor. And if your school's not willing to work with you, get nurses and, you know, social workers involved. And it, you know, it makes a huge difference in our lives.
Where are you located, Lacey? What state?
Louisiana.
Oh, awesome.
So I guess,
Uh,
you know, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I agree. I mean, I just wanted to back up what she said. You know, the 504 plan that we have, we do not have an IEP at this point. We're doing the 504 plan for both our bleeding disorder student and our diabetic student. And so the great thing that we have learned about it is that we can add things if, you know, if you need to add something, even though, let's just say that things haven't changed a whole lot with them as far as, you know, his bleeds or her, you know, her blood sugars, we can still say there are times whenever she needs extra time to do work. So we have adjusted that. We've been able to adjust like her getting extended time if she needs to for homework. And, you know, the same thing would be with the bleeding disorder patients. Like you said, sometimes they're just, you know, they're just not ready. Their brain is just not ready. Their focus, you know, a lot of things like that are not ready to do that immediately. So it gives them that extra time, and I also feel like it gives them that security of, okay, I don't have to do this. Now, we've got one that's a panic tester and she wants to be sick every time there's a test. Well, you know, we never allow her to use that, but as a crutch. But at the same time, adding it, now sometimes you have to advocate a little more strongly for it, but it's definitely worth doing that. You know, getting that extra time that way. Sometimes she gets it done on time, but at the same time, she's not pressured to have to do that. So I think that it also helps some of the emotional things that these kids are going through, because it's not being another demand on them. So you can add, you know, you can ask to add things to the 504 plan that will definitely even bring that kind of peaceful time to your student. So I mean, it's like we had put on there that during test, she would go to sit with another teacher so she doesn't have all the distractions, or if she has her blood sugar goes high or low or that type thing. We did that, then we took it away, and we saw a big decrease in the way she was working and responding. So we've gone back to that. So now any test she can request to just be in a classroom, in a room alone with a teacher. So that in itself is huge for her. So yes, remember that with a 504 plan, you can add things that your student may need from year to year.
That's a really good point, because I mean, kids are just as stressed about the change in their routine in life as we are, right? I mean, everybody's going through this. And I guess I wanted to just bring that up for this reason, is that stress is kind of very, very normal. You know, it's a normal thing. There's positive stress and then there's negative stress. But even the you know, the stress of, like they were talking earlier about when the grandmother was accessing the port, you know, those things that are stressful, right? But there's stress that that's there for a reason for you to pay attention. I mean, back in the day when you would get stressed, you would be stressful for you, like you had to run or fight or flight if you were about ready to be eaten by a lion. But if you're feeling that stress constantly, that's when there's an issue. So there's the two type. There's the negative stress, as we talked about, that's called distress. And then eustress, that's positive stress for positive things, which is kind of nice. And that's something too that I think sounds like you guys have been doing, is just adding in fun things during the day while you're parenting your kids, giving them recess time, giving them some opportunity on telling you what they want to do and following their lead as well, while still structuring and teaching your kids. How other ways have you guys been dealing with just the stress of the change in everything now? Change in
Well, I
school.
don't mind.
Go
I
ahead.
don't mind speaking up on that one because yes, even with hours in school, you know, like I said, we've had to have some days at home. And of course, if there's, you know, if they get that contact, they're going to have to be quarantined for 14 days. So that is a challenge. And, you know, it's like you said, Connie, good change, positive change, negative change. It's still change with some kiddos. And if you're dealing with a lot of anxiety, then the one thing that has helped ours, and we've tried a lot of things, but we keep going back to this one, is just having that detailed schedule printed up. You know, this is what's happening at this time, and this is what's happening at this time, because it completely takes the question, you know, out of it. You know, when they're in school, they know, okay, when the bell rings, I'm going to second hour, or when this bell rings, I'm going to lunch, or I'm going. So I think that just having that detailed schedule printed up so they are aware of what's happening. And of course, they're scheduling some free time, you know, some time like that, because that's important too. Even our kids that are in higher levels of grades where they may not get that recess, they still have that changing of classes. And so they've got that little bit of break to go to the bathroom, or just kind of, oh, okay, I'm out of class for 5 minutes. So that has what's really worked well for us in ours with the high anxiety, is the fact that we are putting a schedule up for her to look at and know exactly what's happening. And then there's no guesswork. And I think that takes some of it off.
Yeah, they have some awareness and to anticipate what's coming next. That's really important. And the times that we can take, you know, the guesswork out of things and give the structure, because kids really do need it. It decreases their stress and increases their ability to really participate in what's going on.
It also makes it easier for us adults because we don't have to say, okay, what time is it? What they're supposed to be doing now? So it kind of works on both sides.
Yeah.
Good that you said that, Connie, because and Tammy, because having the virtual school, there's no recess. And my daughter's still in elementary, and there's nothing. And the kids, they're just frustration. They've been in school 12 weeks now, virtually 12 weeks, and it's just crazy to not give them that break. And that's really what's been the stressor. And it's funny now that we're all meeting today. I was thinking I've never tried to use my daughter's 504 plan to help her with anything different. I tried to make it before we ever had that, but before that was like kindergarten, so there was not really much to do. But the thing is that you want to do that, and you want to be able to set aside. I think Lacey spoke on having an IEP and a 504 and things of that sort. And we're playing the name game, trying to figure out everybody. But I'm glad when they bring back these old school things in class, like Donna was talking about, you know, hopscotch and different things that kids would do. And my daughter did a project, a diorama for science, and they made an ecosystem. And it brought me back to like when I used to do that. She's like, well, how did you do that without a computer? And I go, yeah, we all lived without a computer, and we all lived without a cell phone. And the world was so much easier. We always say that. And it's funny, the older we get, the more we realize the distance past is what we remember the most, but we can't focus on that because we have to move forward to the future. But being able to have the abilities to do some of these things that you can't do in the virtual world, you still got to do it. We're still real people, and we still have to function. So incorporating all that is really good, but having a set schedule is really good as well. And that's what's worked for us, but they never tied in PE. The only time they have that is when they have the PE class, which is 2 times a week. So you got to be able to work it out yourself and make sure you get a recess or something in, but you just can't do it because everything is boom, 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 boom. You got this at 9, you got this at 10, at 11, at 12, you get 20 minutes for lunch, and then you got to come back and continue your day. And they're like little executives. I know the joke has been going around on Facebook saying, you know, the kid says to the mom and says, I've got a meeting and I've got 3 of those. Could you maybe make that one an email? And it's like, really? We didn't learn how to do this stuff till we were grown-ups. But they're definitely learning technologically advanced cases, but they're also missing out on old school things like writing on a piece of paper and learning how to do that and all those things. So definitely things to take into account. But this is all great because I know everybody across the country is different with their kids in school or virtual or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. And also to just have some time to unplug, and not only just your kids, but for us too. I mean, because that can decrease some of our stress as well, and just being aware of it. So yeah. You guys are awesome.
Where are we at now, Constance?
Well, I don't know. Anybody has any questions or any comments on just the subjects of parenting in a pandemic,
We'll have to come back later.
or just acknowledging stress and how to deal with it? And I think maybe making sure that you guys also make sure to create some time for yourselves, because your kids really feel your stress just like you feel theirs. And it's great modeling too, just to take care of yourself. Anybody else? Any takeaways?
Somebody typed in the chat box, Connie Calgon. That is so funny.
Love it.
I remember as a kid, they had the Calgon commercial, you know, they would say, Calgon's going to take you away. So I never wanted my mom to go down the Calgon aisle because I was scared that she was going to get taken away. Anyway, we all need that, I think, lately.
Oh God, that's so funny.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was just going to say too that you know, the mom that brought up the old time things with our kids at home with us, some on virtual, either completely on virtual or partially. I think it's, you know, it's a great opportunity for families to come together. We've kind of been pushed together, and I don't mean that in a negative way, been kind of pushed together to be at home together. And so I think it also opens up that great time to say, hey, this is something that we had a blast with when we were kiddos, and we were able to share that with them. So opportunity to be able to share some of those times with them, and let them see how fun it is, that, oh, it's not just, oh, mom, you're so old, that's no fun. So I think it is a good time also to be able to do that. And so I hope that we are all looking and seeing and taking advantage of that to just be with them and even teach them some things in free time as a break. They could still be learning just some of the fun things that we did and how we did things.
And just for them to be reminded that, yeah, mom and dad, they were kids at one point. It's so weird. I was in the doctor's office, I think it's 2 weeks now, and there were two teachers there, and they were retired, and they can't tell me, they were talking to each other about how their kids would see them like in the grocery store somewhere, and the kid would ask their parent, what is she doing there? Like, they only perceived the teacher as only being in the classroom and not being a real person. It was so funny how they would say that. Why is she here? I thought that was hilarious. So I think, yeah, teaching your kids the things that you did as a kid is kind of fun. I remember I did teach my my niece how to play jacks. It was hilarious when I first tried to do it, by the way. I was horrible, but it was fun, and we enjoyed it. And it was something that we didn't need anything other than being with each other and
end this thing.
sharing it. I think we got a little feedback. Chad?
He muted.
He's muted now.
That was my fault.
Oh, that's okay. Anybody else?
So we've done like unconventional things. We've turned our, carport into like a movie center the other night. And we took a beanbag chair and put it outside and played a movie on the projector screen. We do like family dance night where we turn our back porch into, you know, kids are all about new TikTok dances and all this. And I have absolutely no clue anything about TikTok, but I play the songs and the kids dance to it and then laugh at me and Justin trying to learn how to dance to it, which it's great. And you get to spend family, if y'all family is anything like ours, a game of Monopoly or Sorry turns into a huge fight with your teenagers. And, you know, board games are just not our thing. So we do, you know, different things, dance offs, you know, or whatever, you know. And me time is, you know, alcohol. Sorry, everybody's alcohol sales have gone up, you know, but you and your girlfriends can't get together. So we make a night, you know, I'm not saying we do it every single night, but once a month with you and a couple of your friends, get on a Zoom call and have 30 minutes to have a glass of wine and just, you know, talk about how crappy being stuck at home is, you know, that, or, you know, whether you got to lock yourself in the closet for 30 minutes just to talk to your girlfriend. And this is, you know, look, this is what I'm going through. This is, you know, this is what I need help with right now. It's driving me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just some of the things we do.
Okay, Chad, you want me to start the raffles?
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
everybody. It's a good conversation, but we're kind of pressed for time when the next session is going to start. So we'll start with Donna, and she's going to do her raffle. It's a $100 Amazon gift card. Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, so the question is, what is the process called of promoting and supporting the physical, social, and intellectual development of a child from infancy to adulthood?
Awesome.
So just put your answer in the chat, and I will randomly pick a number from all the right answers.
Did you discuss this during the meeting?
She did, yeah.
Must have been the first 5 minutes, huh?
Yes.
Okay, I missed it.
Okay, I'm going to pick a winner. The winner is Patrick Hernandez.
Yay.
Thank you
Well
very
done.
much.
No problem. Okay, question number 2, which is sponsored by Hope, a deep tissue muscle massage gun. What is another name for corona or for COVID-19? Basically gave you the answer there.
Mhm.
A lot more people got that one. All right.
Pat, are you seeing my answers? Because it's not letting me send it out to everyone. It's sending them directly to you.
Yeah, I got the answers.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, the winner. Where are we here? Is Kelly Millett. Kelly Millette.
Thank you.
No problem. And the last question, and the raffles for a Hope is sponsored by Hope. It's an Echo Dot speaker with Alexa. What is another name of negative stress? The answer is not, that's my sister, Jenny. Okay, the answer is distress. And the winner is where are we here? Lisa Perez.
Thank you. I heard that part. I even wrote it down.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Connie. It was a great discussion. It was nice to have one where everybody participated instead of just, listening in. Thank you so much. And I hope everybody found the conversation good, because it was nice to kind of hear everybody connecting. Thanks, guys, and have a good day. And hopefully you're going to see some more of our sessions today.
Thank you. We'll see you later.